All right, welcome to my browser. I haven't played in 6 months. Not planning to anytime soon. Read a couple of comments on my video notes, and I went and looked at the patch note that talked about the pirate strongholds, not in, not the incursion, not the insurgency ones, but the actual pirate strongholds that used to be called forward operating bases, but these idiots have forgotten they changed the name. But whatever, we'll roll with it because they're morons. Um, yeah, that hasn't changed. Uh, what would I suggest? Well, you couldn't solo it anymore. You'd have to be friendly with those that live in the area, but you're still dealing with sitting around for an hour if you're soloing it. And in an hour, there is a good to middling chance you would have somebody just roaming through, you know, and seeing what's there, and yeah, you'd be dead so easily. And once they knew what you were doing, then it would get more difficult because there are regular roamers in lowsec who aren't friendly to those that control the area, but still roam and hunt, and it would not go well. Um, so yeah, soloing it is completely out. I would not suggest it unless you want to be bait. But yeah, trying to be bait. Yeah, yeah, trying to baiting on a pirate stronghold would be interesting to say the least. Geez, yeah. uh, it would escalate very quickly. The way you do it is, see, if somebody comes in and you spawn anything that spider tanks, the rats are going to go after the spider tanking objects. Their ships will not be shot at. So yeah, um, uh, if you're going to go in and you're going to bait people with, say, a rattlesnake or, say, a solo Ishtar going at 5,000 meters per second with, heavy drones out shooting the fob. Uh, yeah, you'd be talking capital ships, and I'm not sure what would happen because that was impossible to test um, way back when. This patch note is for the 9th of September 2025. Um, so yeah, I don't know what would spawn if you dropped a capital ship on a pirate stronghold. It would not be pretty, that's for sure. But I would love to test that, but I'm not interested. Um, would a capital ship be able to tank what spawns? Geez, I would not know. I'm not even sure that the developers even thought of that. What would spawn if you dropped a capital ship? I have no idea. Whether they thought about it, whether it even spawns anything. Uh, I would guess because they already have a low sec version in the past, which was really tough and really hard to kill, um, that it's in the mechanics to spawn something if capital drops. Um, yeah, you'd be looking at 16 omens at least. spawning, I'm guessing. So that would not be pretty. Uh, geez, 16 omens. They're usually 800 DPS, ignoring resists, if you had 0 resists. So 800 DPS times 16 is over 12,000 DPS. I not up on my capital ship repping, but yeah, without resists, of course. So I'm assuming you could tank. But yeah, you'd definitely be looking at bait if you saw a solo operator, and they'd probably just have a cloaked, um, and just hot drop on your arse. That would be my guess of what would happen. Um, that would be the most logical reason. Uh, I've seen in high sec when it used to happen, people would regularly go through with teams, large teams of obviously multi-boxing. Um, they had Edencom ships and enough of them that they could just mop the floor um, with any omens or anything, any diamond rat. Yeah. So that could be a thing. Um, Either dropping on any bait or taking care of the fob itself. Um, they would have a core of Lashaks, I think. If I remember, I think I have an Intel video about it showing the. I'm pretty sure if you look, it's very recent. As in the videos I do have for Pirate Strongholds. It'd be listed as Intel, so you could go search for that. Maybe I could look for you. Intel. Top rivals, show all. This one? I think this is your normal two or three Lashak team, and that's it. And a whole bunch of Algoses, I'm going to guess, or just frigates, but that's not going to work in Losec at all. All this is unlisted. Date. No, unfortunately, I don't have it. Anyways, sorry for the tangent. I couldn't find it. So, how would I do it? Well, it would be an area that my friends control. That I would know who the roamers were. I'd have 15 minutes to kill a fob. That should be enough. I mean, if I would. The more alts I have on field, the more reward I get. I'd have scouts in the next systems watching the entry points. As the time spooled down to 0, I'd get my scouts back in the system and at the safe spot so I could get as much income as possible. But yeah, definitely scouts would be needed. Um, and since I have MJDs and all my most of my guys would be at a safe spot and they wouldn't be attacked, that anything that's pointing me uh, that I haven't killed, would I bother taking out the? No, absolutely not. What you would want to do was um, simply shoot the fob, tank the damage. If anything came in or that you knew was a threat, you would just MJD a line out to say dock to your docking point, align to that MJD. Soon as any effects of EW like warp disruptors and stuff had finished, you'd warp, get all your guys docked up, wait out whoever was roaming, and then once they're gone, hopefully under uh, what is it, 15 or half an hour, 15 minutes or half an hour for an auto repair on a upwell. I think it's half an hour. I'm not sure. Anyways, so you get back on target, you start shooting again. Uh, you'd have a danger of spawning more when you warp back in. I don't think so though. That would be interesting, but I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, if you're in the same system and you haven't done anything fancy and you drop back in on the target and those rats are still there, you shouldn't respawn anything new. I think. I'm not sure. But, anyways, if you leave that area and you wait 15 minutes, the rats will despawn and new ones will spawn. Of course, when you warp in. But after 15 minutes, the old spawn will have disappeared. So you've got, you know, one chance, maybe two if you're lucky, to hide up and retry that fob before it repairs again. And then we just, continue it. It would be sucky. It would lower your income, of course, because, the time spent on. One sec. Sorry, I had to cough. The time spent doing that, hiding and just waiting till the PvP players left that were roaming, you'd come back and you'd spend more time shooting the fob, and that would be annoying, and it would lower your, I'm assuming, your income by half, right? So you make 500, half a billion. I make with 8 accounts, I make 240 million ISK in 15 minutes. So that's almost a billion an hour, right? So if I half that, that's half a billion an hour. So you've got to compare that to any other income you're doing. And the thing is that, you'd like to do this a lot. You're going to clear out your local area. How soon do they respawn, right? See, the way it used to work back in the day that I remember, if I remember, the way we speculated was that if you kill a fob, it's going to spawn elsewhere. So as soon as you kill something, Pirate Stronghold, it's going to spawn anywhere in HiSec, but somewhere. Maybe nearby, maybe across the universe. So if you cleared out your local area, you'd have to wait till somebody else, way over somewhere else, killing a Pirate Stronghold, for a chance of you to get a, right? So I'm thinking that they've made more. Well, I don't think so. I think there's less low sec systems. So if they just transported everything to low sec, it would mean it would just get congested. It would be the same amount, but it would just be congested. That's what I'm guessing. That's what I think because they're morons and they don't know how to communicate. And the developers in the actual developer section have to communicate with the marketing people who are writing this crap. Like Ratburger, right? Ratburgers, they're the ones writing this crap. So yeah, so that's what I think. I think all those power strongholds in high sec just got congested into smaller spaces. So therefore, there's a higher rate, or more, should I say, in a smaller pocket. So it's great, but you're going to clear your local area, and you're going to have to depend on other people killing those fobs to get action again in your local area. So, right? So yeah, basically it's going to be there's going to be less action. You're going to clear that local area, and I doubt you'll get respawned quickly, if at all. Um, so yeah, I would. I would be hesitant to say it's going to be a great opportunity to grind, because it's not. I don't believe it's going to be a higher rate. I think that it's just more congested. You're going to get rid of those nice juicy fobs in your local area that you control, and then it's going to take a freaking while before it gets respawned because other people are shooting fobs elsewhere. So that's what I think. Um, there is a. I'm speculating now. If the spawns tend to prefer areas that are low population, you might have a situation where a few high activity diamond killers, call them that, uh, are punking it elsewhere and repopulating your area, and it's sort of like a synergy. You kill them, they get repopulated, they kill theirs, and it gets. I doubt that's the way it's working, um, but it's a possibility. So yeah, you'll definitely see. I mean, you guys already have what? It's been almost a month now of that, so I'm sure those that are in the know. Um, would I use my Lashaks? Probably. Um, I've tried Drekabaks. Sketchy as hell. Um, yeah, three Lashaks will kill it in 15 minutes. I don't kill the rats at all. I don't even care about the the mining teams and the hauler spawn and all that stuff. It's fun. It keeps you on edge. It's not boring. You're not going to be snoozing. Um, Pirate Stronghold is nothing to go AFK about. Um, because it's unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen, what kind of uh, mining spawn. I call it the response fleet that gets triggered by the hauler. Um, what that entails, and sometimes, very rarely, you'll get Balgorns that are close range, and those will be super dangerous. So yeah, you'll be on your toes, and you'll be watching other uh, adjacent systems for activity. You'd have to look out for, of course, wormholes. That's another thing too, right? Now you have to worry about wormholes. Hunters coming through wormholes. It's just, yeah, oof. Um, Yeah, very. It would be very nerve wracking. Uh, you would have to close the holes, and depending on how many holes there were, right, that would take time out of your day to roll them, and that would lower your income, right? It's all about, how much income are you going to get per hour from the stuff, and the more time you spend prepping the area, the less time you the less income you get, and you'd rather do something else, right? But yeah, a billion an hour is pretty nice, and if there's three fobs in a system, that means there's next to no travel time, and yeah, you're literally getting, if say you were lucky and you killed four fobs in an hour, that's kind of impossible, but it's just that would be kind of cool. You get a billion. Um, Nothing to sneeze at. But yeah, keep that in mind. You're playing with fire here. Your Lashaks are over a billion each when everything's calculated. So losing one of them would just you just lost an hour there, and I would highly recommend, if anybody does this, that your ships that you're going to use are in system. You dock them in system, and you don't go roaming around looking for fobs with them. You just leave them in system. Um, if you've got two systems next to each other, great. That's even more bang for the buck. But if you're thinking of traveling at any distance from your staging area, I would recommend just buy more ships and use that from that new staging system from there. I would not recommend lollygagging around, especially through high low sec entry points, right? It would just be suicide. Even if you control the area, it's still, you're still rolling the dice, especially with wormhole hunters. Um, that's 15 minutes you're on field, and you have to depend that nothing happens in those 15 minutes. Now, a, that's a really good time span. I mean, 15 minutes is pretty decent for doing something in and out, get it done. There's no like you're not hot dropping anything, you're not lighting off sinos, you're not activating, the what's that capital the the trigger that you can see on the map for engaging in capital level. I forget what it is. You know what I'm talking about? The capital level content you can spawn uh, using deployed modules. Uh, those activate sensors on the map that people can see. So that's dangerous. And yeah, uh, would I want to, like, it's the difference between doing that or, what's how much income can you get from doing that versus dealing with your three shacks that are a billion each, right? Um, Geez. Yeah. Um, I'm just thinking here. See, once PvPers are experienced in dealing with how to kill players on Pirate Strongholds, they're going to have more experience than you at what's going to happen. Um, so they could easily take advantage of the fact you're going to be in a situation where they can come in cloaked get close enough to you to warp scram you, and then you won't be able to MJD out. As soon as that happens, well, you want to get as many of your guys out as possible, because you're not geared. You're geared for whatever, you're gonna have to min max your resistances to actually deal with the incoming DPS from the diamond rats. So they would know that, okay, you're going to be vulnerable to, say, explosive if you're going for anything in a Mars space, right? That would be, blood raiders. So we tailor yourself for blood raiders, and then you'd get somebody going, oh well, I'll just get some explosive. And how many PvPers use Lokis in low sex? Yeah. So you're talking about somebody who's gonna come in with probably, one, just tag one. All they'd have to do is kill one of your guys, and they just make out like bandits. Um, could they kill off the rats? Probably, but they'd have to. They they're wormholers. They have a gang. Yes, they can. So they'd be able to kill you quickly and loot you and get off field, probably before the enemies was. Yeah, I mean, they could probably do it in the time it took for new rats to spawn, starburst out, and then starburst back in to try to engage anything that they detected, right? So yeah, you'd be yeah. And besides, anything at your safe spot waiting to get the income, um, and I'd probably recommend you keep those um, off grid until almost time to collect the ISK, and then warp them to the safe spot. So yeah, I wouldn't have anybody lollygagging around at the safe spot waiting to collect. Um, I would just have your guys at the fob, and then your scouts watching, and hopefully you're smart enough to roll any holes. But yeah, there's always a chance of a new hole spawning. But in 15 minutes, it's a risk I'm willing to take, and I would suggest you guys take. I mean, you got the ships set for fob killing, pirate stronghold killing, and if you know anybody in lowsec that you're friends with, and or you guys control lowsec, yeah, it's definitely doable. I don't see why not. It's worthwhile, and now you won't have to worry about morons in highsec being a-holes. You can kill them, which is a great feeling, because oh Jesus, a lot of highsec people are total a-holes. And that's talking about the Care Bears. we know 90% of the highsec gankers are a-holes. But yeah, there's a lot of a-hole Care Bears. Each side wants zero risk and maximum reward. That's the way it's always been. Yeah, Care Bears and Griefers are just losers. But yeah, the risk is substantial, because it would take a while to recoup any loss, and you wouldn't be recouping it. You'd be at a loss, and you would have to grind your way to out of the red, right? So it's not for lighthearted. And if I got back into the game, definitely would be interested in making the ships more economical. Like, how cheap could you make it and still kill a fob in 15 minutes, right? I mean, Lashaks are how you get there. I used to do it in Armageddons. How cheaply could I make those Armageddons, right? I mean, could I get away with a really cheap option? I would, you know, I would have to use drones, heavy drones, on those ships, and it would take four. It takes four Armageddons 20 minutes to kill a fob. So that lowers my ISK revenue right then. But it would be cheaper. It would be doable. Um, I don't know. An interesting concept. What if you could do, like, how expensive would it be? You could put in Tech 2 resists for, I wonder if you could do 3 EM resist. Well, you'd probably have to replicate the the modules on a shack almost. You'd have lots of large, probably Tech 2 cap batteries. You got have MJD, that's the mids, and high slots would be, well, obviously energy transfers and remote repping. And then in the low slots would be, your, it would be all armor. I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, damage control, 3 EM resists, 2 thermal resists, all Tech 2, and then plates, as many plates as you can shove on there, because it's not as much resisting as being able to resist long enough that the rats switch targets. And then once they do, they've negated, that's how you cripple them. How you crippled their incoming DPS. It's just outweighting their logic for switching targets. And then you've got them. Because, that's the way it works. You will spawn more with 4 Armageddons than 3 Leshaks. Just saying. But yeah, I mean, definitely doable. You'd want Tech 2 Ogres, and you chew into the fob pretty good. Takes 20 minutes to kill it. Yeah, and then you just MJD out. Yeah, that's how I do it. Definitely, it would be quite worth it. But yeah, compared to, say, being part of a mining team that's doing the low sec anomalies, ochre, nice. I don't know how much you'd get, but you'd have to depend on it coming by, and I'm assuming that the rates for what would spawn, hopefully, is better than low sec anomalies for sure, right? Cross your fingers, and hopefully you can farm quite a bit. Beyond that, I mean, my recent videos about doing the fobs is still in line. Honestly, I mean, there's nothing changed. They didn't change anything. So yeah, it's just a matter of rolling the holes. And if you're in low sec at all, you're going to be rolling holes anyways. If you're doing mining or anything like that, or any PVE, or anything intensive, that's always a smart idea. You just have to, once people eventually see, the bottom line is making yourself a hard target, right? An unattractive target. By doing that, you have to accept that eventually the people who except for the wormhole hunters who, you know, they won't remember you. Um, but yeah, anybody who roams or is unfriendly to you in low sec or unfriendly to whoever controls your area, um, they're going to eventually know what your loadout is, what ships you're flying, what you're doing, and where you like to do it. So it's all about making yourself as unattractive a target as possible. That meant that you're smart enough to dock up and not not get your ships killed. Because if you can avoid having your ships killed, they're gonna get bored. They're gonna go, oh, okay, he's not an easy target. I'll go elsewhere. Um, and since, yeah, but if you're trying to go into low sec, I would highly recommend making friends in low sec, and you know, even your enemies are usually nominally polite. Don't get fooled into thinking they're friendly until, you know, they're actually friends of yours, because people can be polite. They're just lining up their lasers to shoot you. But anyways, I've said enough. Can't think of anything else, honestly. Um, but yeah, I think it's doable. I think it would be great. Uh, the losers from high sec would avoid, and they probably do something else like um, the. Jeez, it's been too long. I've forgotten. You know, the stuff in high sec you can do as a team. You know, uh, uh, energy transferring dreadnought, or you know, that kind of stuff. The missions they have now for the team of fives. I've forgotten the name of it. That's hilarious. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're doing something else that grinds away. I'm sure most of them were Goon Swarm who went to high sec to get some revenue for their null sec adventures, right? So yeah, um, God, definitely would not solo it. Yeah, you won't be able to solo it anymore. But yeah, your high sec upwells are safe now from annoying notifications or nasty diamond rats going around and shooting everybody at belts, which is a win in my book. I applaud the devs for doing this because, yeah, I mean, when talking to noobs about mining, you have to warn them about diamond rats. But how do you warn them about diamond rats? It's like it was just a nightmare. I mean, these things are just going to chew the hell out of you compared to normal rats. And it just, yeah, I'm glad they did that, honestly. I really am, for the noob's sake. But yeah, with that happy note, toodaloo. Sorry about new music in the background. Uh, SoundCloud is now doing ads, and it's really annoying. I don't know how to get rid of it without going subscription, and I have not yet. So yeah.